Okay, thanks, Len. Thanks for joining me today, taking some time out of your busy schedule. And I've got a few questions today about when you started your business. So maybe you could just first start us off by introducing yourself.
Hi, Jeff, and thank you. It's a privilege to visit with you today. My name is Len Dorr, and I am a co-franchise owner with my wife, Rebecca, and we live in Delta, Colorado.
And how long have you been in business, Len?
We're almost to start our fourth year.
So the purpose of the interview today is to get a picture of what your first few months were like as you started your business. And you've had some great success, and we want to be able to learn from that. So thinking back to when you first launched your business in those first 3 months, just talk a bit about what was your mental focus. Did you feel prepared going into it? Did you have a clear plan in your head? Just sort of talk about what that experience was like for you.
In January 17, Rebecca and I signed our contract with Pillar to Post. February of 17, we went through training, and in March of 17, we launched our business. So we had a pretty quick 3 months there. And when we first started, we were pretty scatterbrained, and we was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And what needs to happen? And when does it need to happen? And all of the above. But as we started going through the training, the answers started coming through. And when we were introduced to our regional director, more answers came through. And so the focus for Rebecca and I was our launch date and what had to be done to make sure that we were ready for our launch date, and you can break it down into all of the different pieces, but the bottom line is to stay focused on the Pillar to Post training plan. It works. If you stay focused and you do the things that they're asking you to do, they work. Are all of them something that Rebecca and I were both 100% totally comfortable with? Absolutely not. And for an example, cold calling. We called a lot of realtors that were on our list, and realtors are busy and they don't want to take the time of day to talk to an inspector if they don't have any business with them, or if they don't have questions, or if they don't want to learn something. So that got pretty discouraging really quick. So we kind of shifted gears a little bit. And what we started to do and what we started to focus on was, here's our list of realtors that we have access to in each of these offices in each of these different towns throughout our territory. And so we started, we had our uniforms before we launched, we had everything we needed. So we just started appearing at realtor offices and asking for brokers. And the brokers would come out and visit with us, and pretty quick they would invite us back to their office. And we'd sit there and introduced ourselves, talked about the Pillar to Post home inspection, what a great experience it was. And the next thing you know, we're invited to come to introduce ourselves in a sales meeting. And oh, by the way, bring some food with you, because they like to eat. And so we bring a little bit of food, and at first we would have like 5 or 10 minutes, but that was enough. We were in front of the whole group of all of that brokers, realtors at that time, and we were able to hand out cards, we were able to hand out swag, and get to feed them a little bit, get to know them, let them know that, yeah, we're here as Pillar to Post Dorr team, and we're ready to do your inspections. So that was something that we really focused on, and to help drive our business and to help us feel comfortable in driving our business forward.
Yeah, I think it's such an important point because cold calling is always a tough one, and people are going to gravitate towards things that not only they're comfortable with, but they have success with. Was there other marketing activities? Did you guys do a lot of open houses? Probably not a lot of social media stuff at that time, but I mean, it sounds like there was a big focus on the office visits. Was there other marketing activities that helped support that?
Absolutely. We would go through, we would get the papers for each of the towns we're in and find out where the open houses were at. And we would make a list, and we would get our route together, we'd put our survival kits together, and we would go and hang out for 15, 20, 30 minutes with each of the realtors that were at that open house and just visit with them, and answer questions and get to know them. And we did a lot of that. And that really helped. It gave you one-on-one time, FaceTime with those realtors, and an opportunity to build that trust with them to where they're willing to say, yep, I'm willing to hire or to give your name out as a home inspector because you guys are great.
Did you guys do many free inspections in your first few months? Do you recall?
We did. We honored all 25 free inspections. Yep. and that was a long month.
No revenue, but you probably got a lot of repeat inspections out of those free ones, I hope.
And some of our best realtors that we have today, we had a realtor last year that we had over 35 inspections for, and he was one of those very first free inspections that we did. So it works. And you know, when you deliver your report, I'll never forget it. I mean, this guy told me, he said, Len, he says, your report on this house, this house is only 3 years old. He says, normally a home inspector would give me a report, it'd be 120 pages long, and there wouldn't be anything relevant to this house in this report. Your report was 22 pages long, short, sweet, to the point, and I love it. I want to use you guys, you know. And he has ever since, and he's never blinked an eye. So he's
Love it.
a guy, and we've built a great relationship with him. And we have many of those, and many of the go-to realtors that we have that use us continually, week after week after week throughout each month, came from those first free 25 inspections.
As part of the training program now, we actually ask them to do up to 40 or more because we're just believe so strongly in the program. But like you said, when you're saying, well, it's a tough month because there wasn't a lot of money coming in, there certainly is short-term pain with the free inspections, but it's a long-term gain. I think you just had a great story there about somebody now that gives you over 30 inspections a year, fully paid ones, by the way.
No discounts, no, you know, we honored a lot of those discounts that kept us going, that kept bringing in new realtors in the office, that the other, you know, that our go-to realtors would say, hey, give these guys a shot, you know, they're offering coupons, and they would pass those coupons on to their clients, and they would call us, and we picked up a lot of realtors that way as well.
Thinking to the marketing activity again, how did you make sure that you and Rebecca consistently, you know, stuck with it? Was it, you know, more about the mindset of success continues success, or is it more about, you know, making sure you put it in the schedule and stick to it? And I guess sort of the extension of that is you sort of talked about the cold calling and saying, didn't like that, so we didn't do it. So it wasn't even a matter of if I put it in the schedule, it's going to get done. But how did you stick with the things that you knew were going well? Was it because they worked or just persistence?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jeff. You know, with Rebecca and I being co-owners in our franchise, we both have different strengths, and together they complement each other very well. And you know, my strength is out in the field, and hers is managing the business in the office, and that's what she does. And I'll tell you what, you know, we knew and we understood that scheduling for inspections was a very important thing, and it's something that keeps the inspector busy, and it keeps them focused, and it keeps them going. But we figured out very early on that we had to have a similar schedule for all of the office activities and all of the marketing that took place out of the office. And it didn't matter if it was Rebecca doing the marketing, or if I was in between inspections or after an inspection and I would go do marketing daily. And still today, we have in our calendar for our daily events scheduling for marketing. And it could be, okay, I'm going to sit down today and I'm going to do a half hour worth of bomb videos, and I'm going to email it out to the realtors. Or it could be, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to spend, you know, an hour and a half or 2 hours putting together a lunch and learn, and then send out an invite for realtors to join me on a virtual meeting. So scheduling is very important all the way around for the entire business of our franchise. And that helps keep focused and on a straight path.
Great. I want to come back to that because I think scheduling leads to goal setting, which I want to come to. But I want to talk about, you know, how has your marketing evolved? So having in the schedule, you know, you started off strong with all the lunch and learns. How has your marketing changed this day? You said you've been doing this for 4 years now. How has it evolved, and what kind of marketing do you do today? Is it the same as when you started, or has that evolved as well?
Nope, last spring that changed drastically, and you know, the realtors are no longer in the broker's office, and everything has to be either over the phone or virtual. COVID has changed the way we do marketing, and you know, there wasn't a crystal ball that said, hey, these are the things that you need to do to be successful. So it's been pick and choose, and let's try this and let's try that. And one of the things that we've had really good success with are the bomb videos. And we keep them about 60 seconds. And you know, I'll pick 20 realtors for the day that I want to send it out to. and I'll put one together. I'm working on one right now for radon, because January is Radon Awareness Month, and there always seems to be misconception about radon. And we have a lot of radon in our area, so it's a great opportunity to send out a bomb video that has, and I'm making some graphic cards that I can hold up to my chest right here while I'm talking, and educate the realtors on radon in our area. And it only takes 60 seconds, and they look at it, and the majority of the time I get a reply and it says, thank you, that was awesome. And sometimes I don't hear anything, but usually when the realtor shows up at the end of an inspection, they'll say, wow, I really appreciated that video. And I know we don't get to see each other face to face, and this is a great opportunity for me to see you and hear what you have to say. I like it. So it helps.
I love that personal touch. That's great, especially when you can't be there in person. We've got tools that can help simulate it as best as we can. I think BombBomb's a great example of that. So to go back to the goal setting for a second, you were talking about keeping the marketing stuff in the schedule, and scheduling is so important. And to me, goal setting is kind of an extension of that, because why are we doing this over and over again? Why is it in the schedule? Obviously, it's serving a purpose. So maybe just talk a bit about what role does goal setting play in your business to keep you guys on track? What kind of goals did you set? How often do you review them? That sort of thing.
Yeah, goal setting has been an important part of our business since we started. And if I can give any advice whatsoever to any new franchisee just starting out, is be honest with yourself and be realistic. It may not everybody can do 300 inspections a year in their first year, which is what we thought we were going to do, and it just absolutely did not work. Our territory is vast, and we get a lot of windshield time in between inspections. And sometimes you can only do one a day, and sometimes you can do 2 or 3 a day if the inspections come up close to each other on one side of your territory. And if we had to go 4 counties away to the other side of the territory, that would be a 3-hour drive to get there. So, it just depends on where the inspection is and how many we can do, how many come in at that time. So keeping that in mind, be realistic with how many inspections you expect to complete in a year. And you're going to be busy during our busy season starts about mid-February, and this year it hasn't stopped. It's just been going right on through. I mean, we're not super busy, but we're steady. And I've always been a fan my whole career of when it comes to budgeting and setting goals, is to take the time to kind of average things out a little bit. So if you're looking at your calendar year, you say, okay, I want to have 225 inspections this year. And you say, okay, the majority of those are going to come through this busy season, and we're going to have some months where we're a little bit slower. So we learned that the hard way. And we learned that during January and the first part of February to not put more than like 10 or 15 inspections in for the month, but okay, now what can we do to fill in that time and then go do some of that marketing? And so that's how we set our goals, and that's how we become realistic with achieving our goals. And we try to raise that bar. We've raised it annually by 15%, and we've met that goal every year since startup.
Yeah, goal setting, I think, just a way to keep us aligned, and reviewing it the way you talked about, knowing what can we set, what's realistic within our time frame, want to beat it, and then you look forward to the next period, whether it's the month or the quarter, the week, and knowing, what did you do last time, and how can you, how does that influence what you're going to set going forward? So thank you for that.
I'd like to add one little thing to that,
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Average job size. When we first started out, we said we're going to have an average job size of $450, and over the years, we've continually sat down and say, how do we improve this? How do we bring more money in and focus on quality of inspection versus quantity of inspections? And Rebecca and I have sat down, and we've tweaked our letter very well to where it's in one page, and that gets sent out. And our AJS from startup went from 450, I think we're right at 640 today. So it really helps, and to review those goals and not get stagnant with them, but can always ask yourself, what can we do to improve? What can we do to make it better?
Awesome. That makes great sense. If you were to start all over again, Len, is there anything you would do differently if you were to go back to the beginning?
This has always been a frustration of mine since our startup, and I've voiced my concern to others about it. But today's world is digital, and realtors move around like crazy. You can have an address for a realtor and be with one broker, and the next month or the next week they move to a different one for whatever reason. But they move around a lot between these different brokers, and the coupons that are mailed out, the money we spend to mail these coupons out. When we would ask the realtors when they would show up at the end of the inspections to do the review, do you have a coupon? Did you get a coupon in the mail? Maybe 1 or 2% said they got it. So why can't we take that money that we spend on coupons and focus that money somewhere else, somewhere like in a BombBomb video, or some kind of digital marketing or digital training to get realtors in there that would help drive the franchisee forward in a successful startup.
Yeah, and I appreciate that feedback, Len, because we were always looking at how do we make the program better, how do we get the most bang for the buck. And I think especially as you were talking about before, as more and more agents are not in the office, is there a better way we can reach them than direct mail or email? What do we expect from direct mail? Is it a brand awareness? Do we expect action to be taken? So those are things that are always under evaluation. And in this day and age, it's something we got to look at, because we can maybe get better yield out of a sophisticated BombBomb campaign than a direct mail campaign for a lot less money. So certainly appreciate that feedback, and something we're always looking at. The last question I was going to ask is, what piece of advice would you give to someone if they were just about to start? And you kind of touched on that about realistic expectations and setting that up. Is there anything you would add to that, or any other advice you'd consider giving to somebody who's just about to get going?
Keep positive. Yeah, it definitely has its peaks and valleys. One day you're going to feel like you're on top of the cloud and everything is working perfectly, and the next day you're going to have a realtor that just doesn't want anything to do with you, doesn't have the time to deal with you, and don't take it personal. Keep moving forward, keep trudging forward to make your business and yourself and your family successful.
It is great advice. If you want to succeed, it's up to you for sure. Well, I thank you for your time, Len. Anything else you wanted to add in? Anything I didn't ask, or any other feedback you wanted to provide that I may have missed? Any last thoughts before we go?
Make sure I touched on everything here. Nope, I think we got them all.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you very much for your time, Len. I appreciate you taking time out. I know you're a busy guy, and I'll let you get back at it.
All right, thank you, Jeff. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Len. Have a great day. Bye-bye.